debugging is one of the hardest parts in Python because little mistake can cost you a lot. Welcome to the channel today, and today is day 2 for Python, learning Python with data science. Okay, so basically we're going to jump right quick to the video, and I will basically take my time to explain each of those components of Python that I'm going to talk about today. So please get your pen, get whatever thing that you need to get ready. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about first of all is explaining what Python is, and go into details about data types and so many others like variables and the components that we use in Python. Please make sure you subscribe. So back to the video, I will basically talk about Python with data science. Okay, we're going to be using Python and see how we can basically learn some of the Python languages. Whenever you want to do something with something, you have to learn the language, or you have to know how to use that particular thing. Just like what will I say? What will I give with an example? Okay, traders that are out there, just like you can't say you want to use trading view to take trades. I know sometimes I heard of something that trading view can take trade, but just imagine you trying to use trading view to take trade instead of using MT5. So you can see each of those particular software have their own ways they are being used. So exactly, so before we'll be able to use Python, we have to understand what Python is. How can we write Python code? Do you understand? Trust me, in this beginning, I know code seems scary whenever you hear someone is coding. It's not. It's just on you. You understand? It's not the way you think it is. It's just all about you understanding the concepts and understanding everything that you have to do to be able to get that thing started. Okay, so please, any particular thing you don't understand, you can put it in the comment section. I will basically attend to all your questions as soon as I can. Okay, so I'm going to jump right down, and I'm going to basically tell you what Python is, what you should get, what you should be expecting, and how you will start your first code today. Okay, I'm so excited because there are so many people that are eager to learn. I have some of my people from my other places, the place I coach data science. So I'm so excited for you to also dive in deep in this particular topic. Okay, so Python syntax. Today we're going to be talking about the Python syntax, understanding Python in general. Okay, so first of all, what is Python? I'm going to read it just in the simplest form. Okay, is a popular programming language known for being easy to read and write. Simple as that. It is used for everything from building websites and apps to analyzing data and automating tasks. That is just the simple definition. Okay, so it's an easy language. It's very easy. Do you understand? There's nothing complicated about Python. Basically, all you just have to do is just to make sure that you watch the video carefully and follow me step by step. Okay, so the next thing we're now going to go into is what is Python syntax. I've just explained what Python is, simple definition. Now, what is Python syntax? Python syntax are the rules and regulations that governs the Python environment, in the sense that you're working in a particular company, right? Let's say you're working in Amazon as, let's say, as their data scientist or their data analyst. And now in that organization, in that company, they have their rules and regulations that governs that particular company. You open certain time, you close a certain time, you wear a certain clothes. You don't just wear whatever you want to wear and just come to the company. Yeah, exactly. Those are the rules that are given to you as the employee or whoever is working there. Okay, so the same thing with Python. We have the syntax. They are these particular rules that you have to obey in the Python environment whenever you're writing code. That is why you can see debugging is one of the hardest parts in Python, because little mistake can cost you a lot. Do you understand? Don't worry, as you continue, as we proceed, you're going to be seeing a lot of errors, which I'll be transparent with you. Errors are inevitable. Okay, don't take that part from it. It's inevitable. That's what makes you a Python programmer. That's what makes you a data scientist. That's what makes you a data analyst. Okay, so, and also a trader. For some of my traders that are here that are using Python, also want to use Python to see how Python can relate to forex trading and also implement it to their analysis as well. So as a trader also, you're going to see how Python can be implemented. Okay, so we're going to move to the next thing, which is variables. What is a variable? The question is asked, what is a variable? Variables are containers that hold values or data. You can think of them as labels that store information which can change or used throughout a program. Do you understand? Which can change or use throughout a program. So, example of a variable. Let me break it down. Don't get all confused that, it's getting intense now. It's not getting intense. Chill. Okay. All you just have to know is that a variable, I have a container here, and inside of this container, I want to be able to keep salts inside of it. I want salt to contain inside of this container I have here. And I have another container here, and I want to be able to put powdered sugar, do you understand, inside of this container. Both of them are all in powder form or sandy form, whatever, right? This container will contain what? Salt. This container will contain sugar. Inside of these containers, what can I do to differentiate these two containers? All I'm just going to do as a person, let's say I basically want to keep it in my shelf, and whoever wants to use it in the kitchen, I don't want them to get it confused. Instead of them using sugar, they instead use salt to cook the food. So what can I do to differentiate them? All I'm going to do is add a label to this container. I label this other one sugar. I label this one salt. It's as simple as that. So that is variables. You use it to store data or value inside of them. Okay, the container that holds the sugar, that holds the salt, are the values or the data that is being stored inside. It's as simple as that. So like I said, Python is fun. There's nothing to be scared of. Like I've explained it right now. This is the simplest way you can get variable anywhere. Okay, so chill, don't move anywhere. Make sure that you are also paying attention, because very soon it's going to get all practical, and we're going to see how we're going to implement each of those particular things. What can this particular variable store? This variable can store different things. We said data, right? So what are the data? That is where your data type comes in. Are you following? So now we have different type of data type. We have the integer, we have float, we have string, and we have Boolean. Don't forget those 4 data types. They're just like you knowing your 26 alphabets. Okay, so this is very, very, very important throughout your journey in Python. So with the first one is integer, second float, third string, and fourth Boolean. Okay, so those are the 4 data types that we have. We still have advanced data types that we may be using. You understand, just like iterable object, but we'll not get there yet. But when we get there, we'll understand. But then you'll be able to see how we can basically use these other data types. So I'm going to go straight to my computer, and we're going to see how can we implement this particular thing you just spoke of. Okay, just like the variables, the data type, and see how it works and how we can proceed with each of those particular components. Okay, so I'm going to go straight to my screen. Like I said, I'm going to show you. First of all, I'm going to install Python. Okay, I'm going to install Python. Some of you, I think I showed you in my last video. If you've not watched on how to install the softwares or download the softwares that I talked about, go to my previous video and go watch it. Okay, so I'm going to install Python. For those that didn't see it, or those that would not be able to install it because that kind of thing is complicated, I can leave it for Anaconda. You can install those ones, and VS Code, those ones are easy. But and Python, there's a particular thing I want you to do. So that thing is sometimes underrated, but it's very, very, very important. My screen, I'm going to go to my desktop. I have this particular place, which is the Python that I'm looking for, this guy. So you're going to come straight, you're going to open this Python. If you just installed it, or if you just downloaded it, just like the way we did in the last time, in the previous video. If you already downloaded it from the Python website, you're going to have something like this when you try to install it. So this is the particular place I say it's underrated most times. This add to part is underrated. Okay, so you make sure you check this particular place and you click on install. So this may take a couple time, and when it's done installing, I'm going to come back to the video. I'm going to let you guys know. Okay, I think it's done. As you can see, the setup was successful. Look at it there. Yeah, the setup was successful. So we're done downloading the Python. So some of you already have it installed like this. You've already added to part. That's good. That's good. So we're going to go straight to the main thing, writing your first code inside Python. Okay, so the first thing you should always keep in mind is that we are downloading this version 3.12 3.12.6. There's some 3.12.1, depending on the version. Some of them perform better, some of them perform less. So you have to be mindful of the one you download. But 3.12.6 is the new version that just came out. I was using 3.12.1. Okay, so but we can use this one. We're going to try it together, and we're going to see how we're going to use this particular software and write our codes. So I'm going to close this since I'm done. I want you to come to this your search. Come to this your search to make it easy, and just come to Python. When you type on Python on this search, this particular place, type Python, then this particular thing will open. I want you to open this IDLE. You click on the open IDLE. It's going to open up the IDLE for you. Okay, so you have this already here. So one thing I always do is make sure I align them properly. Always align them properly. This is where we're going to be seeing the output. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to click on the file, click on the next thing, which is new file. Okay, so you come here, you click on new file. It's going to bring out this one for you the way we have it. So this here, this particular area is the output, while here is the input, where you're going to be writing your code. Then you're going to be seeing the result of whatever you're doing here. Okay, so one thing I want you guys to do before we save our Python file, I want you to come to this file, click on save as. But before you click on this save as, I want you to create a folder in your document, in your file explorer, in this particular place. Create a document inside already. Do you understand? Create a folder, inside of your document. Create a folder. You can name it Blue Goats Insight. You can name it Blue Goats Tutorial. Whatever you want to do, you can just name it whatever. You can just say Python Crash Course inside of the folder, so you can remember that folder. One thing as a data analyst, as a trader, as a data scientist, is the ability for you to be organized. Do you understand? You have to be organized. That thing cannot be overemphasized. Be organized in everything. Okay, so you come to your file and you click on save as. When you come to your save as, you locate that document. Look at mine. Or I can basically just come here and just say Blue Ghost. I can just say Blue Ghost Insight. I click on the folder and I click on save. So inside of this Blue Ghost Insight, you can see it's inside of the folder. In this folder now, I'm going to come here and I'll say D. So let's make the D kind of capital letter, D2.py. D2.py. So D2.py, why am I adding py? That is the extension name for Python. Are you following? That is the extension name for Python. So whenever you want to save your particular Python file, you have to add the .py inside of it. So we click save. Do you understand? Click on save and we already have the day2.py. Okay, so some people will say, ask, I still don't understand the aspect of extensions. Extensions to a particular file is just you naming that file with the particular program in which it gives. Do you understand? So when I say .py, meaning I'm talking about Python. When I say .png, I'm talking about pictures. When I say .hd, is what, a video, stuff like that. So extension gives it that unique file name to it. So you have to add every extension name to each file that you're saving. Okay, so we are here, we're in day2.py. That is very beautiful. We can now start our coding. Okay, we can start coding. Okay, so we've already saved this particular file as day2.py. So the next thing now I'm going to talk about is the data types. Do you remember the data types that I said you should not forget? Integer, float, string, and Boolean. Integer, string, float, and Boolean. So the first guy is integer. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to use the hash. Why am I starting with the hash? In Python, the hash is just to comment out some certain things. Do you understand? To comment out some certain things. That means you're telling your interpreter and your computer that you should ignore this aspect of coding that you have here. So the computer is going to ignore them whenever you have the hash with it. It can be single hash, it can be double hash. Do you understand? But as you can see, as we continue, you're going to see what we use the hash to do. Okay, so in this hash, I'm going to have the integer, like I said, integer. And one thing the integer does is that integers are whole numbers. Whole numbers in a sense that they can be 40, they can be 60, they can be 65, they can be 100. Are you following? So that's whole numbers. Then the next guy we have is float. In float, we have a decimal number. It can be 90.0, it can be 100.5, it can be 12.0, it can be 45.1. Do you understand? As far as it has a decimal point in it, that is known as what? A float in Python. Then the other guy I said is what? A string. String are basically enclosed with quotation mark. Quotation mark. They're enclosed with quotation marks. Okay. So in the quotation mark means in this area, let's say I have blue ghost insights like this. That is also what? A string. This particular line like this is known as what? A string. Why? Is because it started with a quotation mark and it ended with what? A quotation mark. So whenever you are using a string is whenever you want to make like words, like they say write a sentence. So you can't just basically just come here and just start typing blue ghost like this. Do you understand? You can't do that. Instead, you pass it inside of a quotation mark. Are you following? Okay. So after that, we have the last guy, but not the least, is what? Boolean. Boolean is neither true or false. Okay, either true or false, like this. So that's the Boolean. So we have these 4 data types in Python. So I hope you're typing as well. You should be typing so that basically you can follow along. So we have the integer, we have the float, we have the string, and we have the Boolean. Those are the 4 data types we have. Okay, so I've talked about the data types. Now let's talk about the next guy, which is variable. Variable. We have this variable. What are variables? I said the what? They are containers. Let me just call them what? Containers. Stores values. Okay, so I forgot some little bit. We say that stores values. Okay, so that's what? A variable. So now let's use this variable and the data type together. Remember I said, what does this variable store? And I gave you that, okay, salt and sugar. Do you understand? An example, I gave an example like salt and sugar. So this particular variable is what? Is salt. This other variable is sugar. So I'm going to use them. And what can these particular containers contain? They contain these data types. They can contain this data type. Okay, so now I'm going to write the first one. Let's say salt. I'm going to name my variable salt. This is not yet a variable until you add what? The assign operator in front of it. Then this now becomes a variable. If I don't add this assign operator in front of it, it's not yet a variable. This particular thing, I know most of you know it as equal to. This is not equal to. This is known as an assign operator in Python. In my previous video, I'm going to still explain each of the operators that we have in Python. Okay, so we have the salt and we have this particular thing in front of it, which makes it now a variable. Are you following? Without this, this is an error already. So you have to add this particular word assign operator in front of it, or you call it your equals to. But when you call it or equals to, you know is what? An assign operator. So in this assign operator, what do I want this variable to contain? Salt. So I can say I want this variable to contain an integer, right? I want it to contain an integer. So this is a whole number. You can see 40, 60, 65. Those are whole number. And that is only whole numbers I'm going to put. Let's say I put 100, right? That is a whole number. Then I'll have sugar. And sugar, I will say, I love Blue Ghost Insights. Okay, so I love Blue Ghost Insights like this. Can you see that? I love Blue Ghost Insight. As you can see, the color changed, right? Is now what? Green. That means you're basically making a sentence. So can you see, instead of me just writing it like that, in Python, you don't do that. You use neither double quotation or single quotation. Are you following me? Then the next one, I can now say, let me just say, John Doe. John Doe is the next guy. And this John Doe, I want it to contain a float. I can just say 1 99.0. Do you understand? This is a float. Why is it a float? It has what? Decimal points. Okay, so the challenge is now you guys try the other variables and implement them and let me know if you did it correctly, okay, in the comment section. So I'm done. I'm basically done. You've started writing codes already without even knowing it. It's as simple as that. Do you understand? Especially when you're following the right person, you're following Blue Goes Insight. Okay, so you have started writing your Python codes without any stress. Are you following? So we already have the salt, we have the sugar, we have John Doe as our what? Our variable. But there's one mistake I am seeing right inside of this code. What is the mistake? This John Doe cannot contain space. I purposely did that mistake so that I'll basically explain why. One characteristics of your variable is that variable cannot contain space. Second, variable cannot start with a digit but can end with 1. Are you following? Okay. Third, variable cannot have special characters, stuff like at, hash, tag, stuff like that. You can't have it inside of the variable. Are you following? If you have to give space, you can use an underscore. Are you following? So now in this John Doe, I can either leave it like this, removing the space, or I can use an underscore to separate them. Okay, so that is as simple as what we can talk about. Okay, so the next guy, I'm not going to see this particular data type. Let's see how they look like. How can we bring them to life? How can we implement them? Do you understand? I'm going to come here. I'm going to say print. This print is a print function that we have in Python. You use it to bring out the input of your code. You're done writing code, right? Now bring it out. How do you bring it out? You use your print function. So in this print function, I can now call what? Salt. If I call salt, what am I going to do? You make sure that you always save your codes. Do you understand? Whenever you're using this particular IDLE environment, this Python IDLE environment, you make sure that you always save your codes. So I can either come here and click on this save, or I can use Ctrl S. Can you see that? Ctrl what? S. So I'm going to click on this and saved. Do you understand? Then I click on run and I click on run module. Can you see 100 is now visible here? Can you see that 100? Good. That is what you have successfully what? Bring out the variable salt. But you can see the salt is not there, but the 100 what came out because it's a container. Are you following? Let me still break it down. The salt is not coming out, but 100 is coming out. Whenever you have your container of sugar and salt, do you understand? Whenever you need the sugar, all you just have to do is open the container, take out what? The salt or the sugar from it. Are you following? So what is valuable there is the value inside of that particular container. Without the value, the container is useless. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to print sugar like this. If I come here and I print sugar and I Ctrl S to save it and I run by using M5. So I'll be using F5 to run my codes now. Okay, so you can use M5 to run it. You understand? You can either come here, click on run module, or use F5. So you can see I love Blue Goes Insight. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Then the nice guy is John Doe, right? I'm going to say print and we'll say John Doe. I'll write it exactly how it is and make sure that you're using this parenthesis. Make sure you're using this parenthesis anytime you're calling your print function. Make sure you're using this parenthesis. As soon as I have that, I click on Ctrl S and I F5. Can you see we have what? This particular one. The next thing I'm going to talk about is escape characters. So I'll come here, I will say escape character. Okay, character like this. So please mind my spelling, whatever. Sometimes I mistake that sometimes. Okay, so escape characters in the sense that I'm going to be showing you how we can escape some string function whenever we're using, I don't call them string function, but some string data type. Okay, string data type, that's the best way to call it. Okay, we're going to see how we can escape some string data type. Just imagine I'm writing a string now, right? Let's say I have something like this. Let's say I have word, and this word I want to be able to just take the next thing to the next line, or I just want to write and escape a particular character inside of that string. So let me give you an example. I can say mother's mothers are not, can you see this? And not, I can escape that particular character, and not friendly in Africa. Smart sound. Let me add sometimes. Sometimes it can be sweet, but sometimes they are not really friendly. Okay, so now I want to escape this character and not. You understand? I can neither use this thing to escape it, add a quotation like that, right? Add a quotation mark there. It's escaped. I can see I'm not having any error. But one thing you should always keep in mind is, what if I am using a single quotation like this, something like this? Boom, you can see there is an error here. There's an error. So why? How did I know there's an error? Because all this particular thing is not showing green. Can you see that? They are not showing green. Why? Because this particular thing is not yet recognized. So you're basically confusing Python. Are you following? You're telling your Python that your Python knows that yes, it's two quotations, one at the beginning and one at the end. What is this particular thing doing here? So it's trying to tell you that, hey, what I recognize in this particular string is from this your mother and R and N. Yeah, that's where I'm going to stop, because that are the two quotations. The rest that you have here are error. So it's as little as that. You understand? It's as little as that you're going to have error. So some people say it's a lie. I can come here, let me test it and see if it brings it to the output here. I'm going to test it and see. So I'm going to put in the word inside. Remember, this print, we use this print to call out the variables, and they can do so many other things. So I can come here and click on run or F5. No, first of all, Control S to save it, then F5. You can see error, syntax words error, syntax error. So like I said, you are breaking the syntax. So that's why it's giving you a syntax error. That means, what did I say about syntax? Syntax are rules and regulation. So you are not following the syntax correctly. So I will say okay, and I'll correct. Can you see it's already pointing out the error for me that, hey, this quotation is not meant to be here. But I can use something known as what? The backslash. This guy is known as the backslash. Like this. In this backslash, all I'm just going to do is to take away this thing here that I have, and I'll just add backslash in front of it. Can you see that? I just add backslash in front of that quotation. You can see everything is out. So this backslash is going to tell Python, please just ignore this one. Do you understand? Ignore this quotation mark. That's what your Python will basically do. So anytime I use the backslash, you're telling Python that ignore this area. Okay? So if I Control S and I click on F5, you see we have mother aren't friendly in Africa sometimes. It's as simple as that. So that is one of the escape characters. We have different characters, but basically the one that I majorly use is the backslash, the new line, and the multi-line. So I'm going to basically show you that. Stand one, new line, character. So please, if you're basically enjoying this particular tutorial so far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also share this to also people that you think that may find this interesting. Do you understand? That can help them in their programming state as well. Okay, so let's say I want to have word one. I would say blue ghosts topics are interesting, like this. Okay, so the next guy, I can also say, instead of the same line, I can also say there's a reason why I'm bringing them together. So I can say blue ghost insights codes are fun. Then blue ghost is an awesome channel. Of course it is. Okay, so in front of it, I want each of these particular things. You can see it's really exhausting this line. As you can see, it's getting all stretched out. Okay, so but I want this first one that I have here, I want it to be at another line, why the next should be at another line. So pay attention to this aspect here. I can just come here and just what? Add the backslash n to this particular place. So that's why I didn't give space. I add the backslash n, and I'll come to this other one, another sentence, and I'll add the backslash n as well. Are you following? So in this area now, I already have this blue ghost here. So let's go back to this, guys. Yeah. Okay. So in this area, let's print this and let's see how it looks like. So I'll come here, open two parentheses, and I'll say word 1. And Control S to save it. Click on F5. Can you see that? Blue Ghost topics are interesting. Blue Ghost inside codes are fun. Blue Ghost is an awesome channel. Voila. We have that. Magical. Do you understand? Magical is beautiful. It's so beautiful what Python can do. Do you understand? We're just basically taking each of those sentences to a new line, and that's why it's called the new line character. It helps you escape your strings to different lines, new lines, step by step. Okay, so there's still more this particular thing can do. Let's say I want this particular thing to have like 2 more lines below. I can just come here and put another backslash n, and if I Control S and I come to my F5, can you see that there's 2 lines before it? Okay, it's as simple as that. It's fun. Coding is fun when you are in a Blue Ghost channel. Okay, so the last guy is the multi-line. The multi-line character. And in this multi-line character, I'll basically say we use the multi-line just for things whenever we're creating. Okay, we use the multi-line character to take each of these particular things to the next line. Do you understand? Instead of you putting this backward slash n, you can basically, let's say I just want to write them down myself. Do you understand? I don't want to use this backward slash n. What can I do? I can basically use the multi-line character instead. So I can come here and I will say multi-line. Okay, so pay attention. So the multi-line, I will say, let's say I have word 5, and this word 5, you make sure that whenever you're using your multi-line, you start it with 3 quotations like this, and you end it with 3 quotations. So in this particular thing, I can say Blue Ghost is the topic. All right, let's make it Blue Ghost. You guys are saying we're tired of you using Blue Ghost. Of course, you're using the channel. You're watching the channel. Come on, call it a break. So Blue Ghost Insights. So the first thing I want you to do is subscribe. Second, like. Third, and share. That's all. Okay, so we add the 3 quotation. Can you see that? So you can see how I take each of my string to the next line. As simple as that. I can come here and just say print what? Word 5. Print word 5. Okay, so Control S and F5. That's it. Blue Ghost Insight, subscribe, like, and what? Share. It's simple as that. It's as simple as that. As you can see, day 2 is interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. As simple. We just basically, we've written codes inside of it. Okay, so like I said, we have basically understood what Python is. The first thing we did was to understand what Python is, understand Python syntax, understand data types, and after data types, we use them, implement them. Then we went to the escape characters. So day 2, we're going to conclude the video for day 2. So subscribe so that when day 3 is out, you're not going to miss a beautiful video like this. Okay, so there's one thing I want to also remind you guys of. I'm also running a course. Do you understand? I'm running a course. Definitely, I'm running a course, one-on-one section, Zoom meetings that I can hold your hands through this journey, and I'll be able to see some of your errors and correct them, and tell you more. The intensive class, just imagine you're just seeing this in the channel. Just imagine how the intensive class is going to look like. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be magical. You're going to love Python so much. You're going to love analysis so much. So make sure you click on the link below. My Telegram link is going to be there, or my WhatsApp number. You can WhatsApp me there, and I'll give you the details, and you pay the fees, and you get registered as soon as you start your classes. But so that will be all. Please don't forget to subscribe. If not anything, just subscribe, like. Okay.
Smart Sound.